Iceberg charts. You know them. You have the popular stuff at the top, and the lower you go, the more obscure and unknown it gets. Today we're going to be doing just that, but with Brawl Stars. And yeah, I know the trend died like months ago and I'm late to the party, but here we are. It may not be as creepy as others, but there's some really interesting topics in here that you'll want to stick around for. The charts I'm following are 3 different ones that I combined. I've removed some topics that didn't make any sense or weren't interesting enough, and also added my own. Also, fair warning, if you consider yourself an OG, you might know a lot of these, but nonetheless, I hope you all enjoy. Spike's voice. Spike doesn't have a voice. It was decided that he wouldn't have one to add mystery around it, but there was once a commercial called The Wild Bunch with Shelly, Dynamite, and Spike. All of the characters had voice lines, including Spike, but it's believed that this was just for the song and that's not his actual voice. I'll show you a clip of it.
Now I'm your snuggie buddy. Iceberg is my name. If I'm on the attack or hugging you, I'll tell you all the same.
Mr. P is Gene. This is basically a theory that Mr. P is Gene in disguise. Behind Mr. P there's a zipper which is assumed to be the costume Gene is wearing. They also share similar lines and voices. Beta music. This is referring to the old MIDI music used years ago. This was originally way down on the list, but I moved it up as it's only a nostalgic piece of the game's history and not something that needs a whole lot of explanation. Mortis's hat. In 2018, Supercell removed the hat for Mortis, but they were pressured to add the old skin back as Top Hat Mortis because the community didn't like the new remodel. Brawler trios. This is a theory that brawlers come in trios, meaning a brawler has something in common with 2 others. This theory has actually been confirmed by Supercell. They said that they purposely add 3 brawlers with similar themes and from these same eras. Beta/soft launch differences. The game was drastically different in its early soft launch days, with the game being in portrait, lower graphics, and a different UI. If you want to see more info on this, I'll link down my history video I've done explaining this more in depth. Legendary brawler usernames. I think this is referring to people who have a name stuck as a legendary because they fell for a joke that if you name yourself, for example, Leon, you would unlock Leon faster. This could also be talking about how some trolls will tell you to input a code in your name and you will unlock that brawler immediately, only to find out they got trolled and now they have a name stuck with weird coding. This was of course before creator code, since today the troll videos usually have you put in a fake code there. Developer build. The developer build is simply a version of the game developers and content creators use to test new features and show them off. It's just a testing version of the game. Project Laser minigame. In August of 2020, there was a Easter egg where when you tapped on 8-bit a few times, you would load up a minigame in your browser. Unfortunately, I believe it was removed a few days or a few weeks later, so you can no longer access it, but the minigame was simply a reference to the first version of Brawl Stars way before soft launch. I have a full video on this in case you want to know more about it. Brawltopia. This is a theory that every Brawl Stars map is connected in some way, sitting on an island called Brawltopia. It's also believed that the island, Brawltopia, is a theme park. There's a lot of clues surrounding this theory, and developers have said that the game has a unifying theme, but it's still unknown what exactly that theme is. Alpha version / Project Laser. Again, I mentioned this when talking about the Project Laser minigame. It's basically the game before release and how different it looked. Pretty much a completely different game, but as I mentioned, I'll leave a link down below for a video going more in depth on this topic. 13 minutes and 14 seconds. This is referring to the maximum time you can get in Robo Rumble. Players could get this max time by simply playing normally or doing a glitch. Although the game mode still exists, the glitch is no longer possible. Jackie uncensored voice lines. The brawler Jackie has voice lines censored with a drill sound.
You dirty Seriously? This
Players thought that she might be swearing, but the actual recordings are still family friendly.
You dirty stinker! Seriously? Watch this!
Supercell ID scams. Some players who haven't signed up for Supercell ID yet fall into a scam believing they're buying or getting a free account, so the scammer gives them the login, and then when they log in, the account gets tied to that Supercell ID. Daryl Sombrero. This is talking about how Daryl used to have a sombrero in his announcement video, but upon release, he had a pirate hat instead due to a last minute change. Homer. Homer was a name in the game files for a brawler that wasn't in the game. Everyone speculated this was the next new brawler, but it was later confirmed that Homer was just an early B prototype that they just happened to leave in the game files. Pat on the Back. Pat on the Back was a star power for Gene that was removed and replaced with Spirit Slap. It was just a bad star power, and that's about it. Chinese version differences. Brawl Stars wasn't released in China until June of 2020. To put that into perspective, that's almost 2 years after global and about 3 years after the soft launch. This is because the game had to meet some requirements in China and comply with the Chinese game regulators. Because of this, the game had a few changes like a box purchase limit, a guest login that let you play for 1 hour every 15 days unless you created an account, some graphical changes, and more. Sprout made by Rosa and B. This is a theory that believes Rosa and B created Sprout from an experiment. I'm not 100% sure if this was confirmed or not, but all three brawlers share similar characteristics, and that's no coincidence because they're also in a trio called the Biology Team. Gene removed from the game. When released in February of 2019, Gene was briefly removed from the game because there was a bug that caused his super to crash the entire game for everyone in that match. Description lore. This is referring to when brawlers used to have lore in their description, kind of like a backstory. Although some still have some sort of lore, most have been replaced with bland descriptions describing what they do rather than their past. Private servers. I can't show you footage of private servers, but it's basically when someone takes the game, makes modifications, and runs it on their own server. This is basically a code that changes the color of the text inside the code, and you could change the color by adjusting the code's numbers. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work anymore though, so yeah, I could be wrong though, but still I wouldn't try. Unused sound effects. Like all games, there's bound to be a few sound effects that the developers probably just don't need anymore or decided not to use. The same applies to Brawl Stars with Brawl Unlock sound effects, UI sound effects, and leftover sounds from the Project Laser days. Here, I'll play a few sounds. Swan Song. Similar to Pat on the Back, Swan Song was a star power for Poco that would eventually be replaced by something else. Swan Song basically let out a tune with his guitar when Poco died, and his allies would recover 1000 health. Social media deletion. In 2018, when Supercell was getting ready for global, they released a picture and quickly after deleted all their tweets from Twitter, pictures from Instagram besides that one picture, YouTube videos, and deactivated their Facebook accounts. This was all done to bring the attention to Brawl Stars and get people talking about it, and I guess it worked because the announcement was huge. Brawler codenames using the wrong gender. This is referring to brawler codenames and how sometimes they're labeled as another gender than what they actually are. For example, Brock being Rocket Girl and Pam being Minigun Dude. However, these are not mistakes. Brock was originally going to be a girl and Pam was supposed to be, well, a guy with a minigun. There is one that we don't have the answer to though. It was Ricochet, an old codename for Ricochet. Old Pam. Like we mentioned, Pam was supposed to be a guy. But there was also a time when instead of Minigun Dude, her codename was Mini Gunner, and her model was simply a modified bull. This was all before Pam was released and she was eventually changed. Mousebot voice lines. The Mousebot is the codename for one of the robots in Robo Rumble and Boss Fight. Robots don't say anything in the game, but the Mousebot does have some in the game files.
Ow, 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 constructing.
This is because in the early days when the game was still in its Project Laser stages, the Mousebot was a playable character and so it had voice lines too. Indestructible blocks and TNT blocks. TNT is found in the tutorial of the game, but nowhere to be found later. However, back in the day, the TNTs were also part of the game mode Heist. In terms of indestructible blocks though, I think this is referring to how we used to have indestructible blocks in the early days as well, and people have found ways to build maps using these old blocks. No one really knows how they're using these blocks, as it doesn't show up in the map creator, and you're technically not supposed to, but some maps are still created with the blocks, and no one knows how. Default_diffuse.png. This is an image that was found in the game files. It looks like an early version of Colt's first attack pin from the old progression system. Not pins from today, but pins that you would use back in the day to level up your brawler. The pin had a smiley face on it, which I think was confirmed to be an Easter egg for those who dig in the game files, and I guess it worked. Hashtag 9U22GGV0. This is a tag for a club where everyone has every brawler, everyone is maxed out, and most players in it have the same name. It's believed this may have been a dump clan for developer accounts, where they dump accounts they've created and don't use anymore, but this is actually false. Developers for any Supercell game aren't allowed to use developer tools in the real game. Still, it remains a huge mystery. Why do they all have the same name, low trophies, and maxed accounts? No one knows. Hashtag 9U22GGV2. This is another tag for a club. When you search it up, it brings up a clan with no members. No one really knows how this is possible because when the last member leaves, the clan automatically gets deleted. But this one clan remains despite there being no one there. Third-person camera. Supposedly, someone found a camera mode in the game files that was a closer third person, but the camera followed the brawler as they moved, including which way they were looking at and walked. However, the person who uploaded the video asked for 500 likes in order to show how he did it. He never got the 500 likes. It's unknown if this was an actual hidden setting in the game files or just a talented coder. Shelly's chicken. Shelly was supposed to have a pet chicken as her star power, similar to how Jessie has a turret, Nita has a bear, and Tara has her own shadow. However, this was never added, but it was confirmed by one of the developers. Better rewards for returning players. This is a belief that players get better rewards and easier matches when they return from being inactive for long periods of time. However, there's no solid proof tied to this theory. 2020 lawsuit. In 2020, Supercell was sued for Brawl Stars and Clash Royale by a company named Gree. The company claimed that Supercell infringed on its patents. Campaign.csv. This is talking about a file in the game files called campaign.csv. Basically, it's believed it's part of a scrapped campaign mode from the Project Laser days. Hoverboard Brawler. This was a brawler found in the game files, and it was later found out it was just a 8-bit prototype with water collision disabled. Basically, that means he could walk on water. WKBRL. The WKBRL mystery can be an entire iceberg on its own, but explained in the simplest ways, it was a live stream found after someone found a Morse code in one of the maps in Brawl Stars. When typing that Morse code into their search, they came across this live stream. It's been live for about a year on a weird channel with no profile picture. The channel is obviously a stunt pulled by Supercell, but no one knows its true purpose. The livestream occasionally has sounds of creepy events happening, brawler deaths, and once in a while you get sneak peeks of things that haven't even happened yet in the game. Also, the lighting and effects on the livestream change every now and then. It's way too much information to explain in this video, but figuring out the meaning behind WKBRL is the biggest rabbit hole you'll ever explore. The investor video. The investor video was a video uploaded to YouTube on September 15, 2020 called Star Park Invest in the Future. The video is confusing in itself, but it's opened a door to tons of theories surrounding the true purpose of the park, what happened there, and its hidden messages along the video. We'll get into a very creepy theory later on in the video. Debug menu. The debug menu is a mystery that's confused many players for all Supercell games. There is a button with the letter D on it, and that stands for debug. Although content creators can't show you the menu open, which is the reason behind the whole mystery, I can tell you it's nothing but tools that are useful when recording sneak peek videos. Deleted 1 and 2 game modes. These were 2 game modes found in the game files labeled as deleted 1 and deleted 2. It's unknown what they could have been, but it's believed one of them might be the old version of Heist, and the other is a leftover from the Project Laser era. Nanny tortures other brawlers. On the WKBRL livestream, some messages were posted in the live chat saying that Nanny is torturing the other brawler and Pam has to stop her. Though it was later found out that these messages weren't posted by the account which was broadcasting the stream and were therefore simply made up. Egg Pam and the game files. Egg Pam was an April Fool's joke where people were fooled thinking Pam was getting remodeled or a new skin to look like an egg, hence the name Egg Pam. But people actually found the files for Egg Pam without the real egg texture that was teased in the April Fool's videos. It's believed this was put there intentionally to prank players who constantly data mine the game files. Partially decompiled source code. Some of the code in the game files was partially decompiled and revealed a game mode called Artifact. It's believed this is one of the many deleted game modes or a early version of Gem Grab that was originally in the Project Laser early development days, the artifact being, well, the gems. Bone Thrower Pet. This was a brawler found in the game files that had a unknown pet, most likely a dog. The brawler would spawn the pet and the pet would stay close to the brawler until he or she threw a bone at an area. Then the pet would go attack an enemy in that area. Furthermore, the description for the brawler was in the game files along with its weapon, a minigun. It has a slow movement speed and was immune to pushback effects. Stage Server. The stage server is a separate server in the game that developers can connect to, perhaps to test things in the game without the disturbance of other players detecting them. It's believed they connect to this server using a different IP address, but when researching this topic for more information, I couldn't find anything about it. It's unknown if any of this is real. Jackie Truly Uncensored Voice Lines. This is a belief that the uncensored version of Jackie that was found wasn't the real uncensored version, and that the voice actor for Jackie was actually swearing, and that there's recordings of it hidden away somewhere. Laser_pre_v14.2.3.apk. This is a theory that a copy of Project Laser or Slugfest, which was another code name before launch, is out there somewhere and it's fully playable. Now, when developers test games, yes, they do create APK files and IPA files to play on their test phones, and it's highly likely that they still have a saved copy preserved somewhere. However, whether a copy of it is out there floating around in the public is unknown, and it's also very unlikely we'll ever get to play it. Hogrider_Brawler. I'm not 100% sure if this is still in the game files, but this is referring to the Hogrider Brawler. Not the skin, but an actual Hogrider Brawler that was in the game before soft launch. I showed this in one of my videos as well, and basically it's believed that the Hogrider was supposed to be a brawler in the game, or it was simply a placeholder for other brawlers that weren't finished yet at the time. The Webmaster. There is a website called starpark.biz that features a lot of information about Star Park, including objects that were sent out to people. It's basically an archive of everything Star Park related. But there's also a mystery behind who runs the website. When you email them, you get a reply from the webmaster. His identity is unknown at the time of this video, but it's believed that the webmaster is someone who wants to expose the truth of what really happened to Star Park. Speaking about starpark.biz, I believe the website was found because someone walked up to a YouTuber's door, dropped off a package, and the package had a lot of items, including a laptop with instructions on how to get there. All of this sounds bizarre, but this actually happened. The identity of the person was never found because he was wearing a spike mask, but it could be that the host of the website sent someone for him. Advanced bots. This is a theory that states Brawl Stars has advanced bots that behave just like real players in any trophy range. So this isn't just talking about the bots you see at low trophies. The theory explains that most players don't even know they exist from how advanced they are. They are controlled by an advanced AI and are trained using gigabytes of player input data to make advanced bots indistinguishable to real players. Female_pain_01.wave. This is a unused sound effect of a female being hurt. There's actually 2 of them. Clearly this was supposed to be used for a brawler or perhaps a female robot in the Project Laser era, but theories go even further, suggesting that the female being hurt was a real recording of someone actually being hurt. Brawl Stars is personalized. Some people believe that the game Super Mario 64 had experimental AI that personalized the game to the player in ways that they couldn't notice. Super Mario 64 was released in 1996, and the theory is that modern games have an even better AI. The theory explains that in Brawl Stars, the shop is personalized to the player and the overall experience of the game is catered to you. Going even further, explaining that your phone stores personal data like location, microphone, finances, and contacts, which is true, and that Brawl Stars borrows some of that data to personalize the experience for you. We are controlling real superhumans in a simulation. Star Park in itself is a huge mystery, as we discussed before, but one theory stands out the most to me. In a video that was uploaded by Brawl Stars, there was a clip that we couldn't quite understand, but when you reverse the clip, the man in the video says, "In the future, children will control us through glowing rectangles."
In the future, the children control us. We fight in glowing rectangles.
This video takes place somewhere from 1950 to 1970, and glowing rectangles, sure enough, sounds a whole lot like phones. The guy in the video didn't exactly know what would control them, but he knew that it was something rectangle and glowing. The theory explains that Star Park was an experiment involving its guest. They would collect samples of DNA and use mind control methods to eventually create these superhumans. And those superhumans are what we know as brawlers in Brawl Stars. Somewhere right now, these superhumans are forced to play in a simulation where they are controlled by kids and their glowing phones, which is us playing Brawl Stars. So there you have it. That is my Brawl Stars Iceberg explained. This video took a while to research, ages to write, and forever to edit. So if you enjoy, consider dropping a like. It's not mandatory, but it helps me out a ton. I'll try my best to leave some links down below to these charts, because like I mentioned, I did remove some, and in case you want to see some of the original things in the charts, I'll try my best to do that. As always though, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching. Havoc gaming out. Peace!